How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to this new episode of Restorations with Vic. What I have for you guys today is a pair of Duck Camo Air Max 90s that released a few years ago. Surprisingly enough, I thought the hype was dead on this shoe, but I checked StockX. Crazy enough, the price on these are going for $2,500. Ridiculous. Obviously, as is right now, it's not worth that price tag, so we're gonna do our best to bring it back to that price tag. For this shoe, we're gonna focus on three things. One, a good deep clean using Reshoeminator products. Number two, how to properly repaint the shoe, especially how to mix that infrared color. And number three, two different ways on how to properly re-dye and fix the black suede. We got some work ahead of us, guys, so let's get to it. Same thing with the insole, guys. We want to take that out. Perfect. For this cleaning, we're going to be using Reshoeminator's 3-brush 4-ounce kit. Usually I use the laundry system with the 3 brushes, but since this shoe has a lot of delicate materials like the black suede and the Duck Camo, I am not going to put them in the washing machine. No need in risking a really expensive shoe. It should just clean up just fine just using the 3-brush 4-ounce kit. First brush we're going to be using for this cleaning is our soft bristle brush. I've cleaned the shoe in the past. This shoe is 100% safe to clean, so I'm not really too worried, but at the same time, I don't want to drench the material. So one thing I like to do before I start cleaning the shoe is kind of using the brush to create some studs inside the bowl. I kind of just shake it up. I know you guys hate the mess on my desk, but it actually really helps with cleaning the shoe. So now let's go ahead and brush in a circular motion. One thing I do want to mention though, do not use any other brush but the soft bristle brush on these materials. If I use the all-purpose, there's a good chance I'm gonna ruin the Duck Camo or any other brush. Stick with the soft bristle. Alright, so one thing I did notice, as I was cleaning the shoe, my hand was inside. As I pulled it out, a lot of sand and dirt was stuck on my hand. So before I start cleaning the insides of the shoe, what I'm gonna do right now is grab the vacuum, hook it up, vacuum the insides, and then clean it. Because if I do it now without vacuuming, all that dirt, all those rocks, all the little sand is just gonna stay in there. Since I'm not using the washing machine, that washing machine can't flush it out. So the next best thing is using a vacuum. Be right back. Alright, let's put the shoe to the side. We still gotta clean up the midsoles and the soles. Let's go ahead and clean up these insoles while we're at it. Alright, so this is pretty easy. The insole wasn't that dirty to begin with. The little stains that I saw, most likely from the stock, it's coming out nice and easy. So once I'm done cleaning this insole, we're gonna go to the sink and just simply rinse it off. Remember guys, recycle. Alright, looking pretty good. Let's also grab our shoelace before we go to the sink. You know, kind of dunk it. It's a black shoelace, you can't see the grime or dirt, but it is a little faded. Not faded, it's more just dusty. Once you clean them up, they'll look good as new. Alright, let's go to the sink, guys. Before Steve comes in and sees me blowing bubbles. What's up, pal? This is my buddy right here, Bentley. Huh, dude? Best pals. Alright, so we are back. Quick update. Uppers are clean. Insoles and laces are clean. We just gotta finish off the midsoles and soles. So let's go ahead and grab our stiff bristle brush, the only brush that's able to clean these soles. So one thing I do want to point out before we wrap this up, as you can see, the infrared is bleeding. You're gonna want to be very careful with that when you're cleaning it. Luckily, the stuff that's bleeding isn't strong enough to make damage on the uppers. This pink stuff won't really damage the uppers unless I keep on doing it. What I'm gonna do right now is just kind of wipe it off before it gets worse. I'm gonna go ahead and repaint these shoes anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I just do want to point out, if you are cleaning the shoe, there's a good chance the paint's just gonna simply fade off and rub off, as you can see right here on these areas. So be careful when cleaning the shoe. Even use a soft bristle brush. Just go over it very carefully, very lightly. You don't need to go crazy because you can't possibly damage the shoe. On the bright side though, at least I know when I go and strip the midsoles, it won't be too hard. When using acetone, it'll probably just wipe the paint right off. So that's good to know. Let's just go ahead, pat down the shoe all around. Since I'm not putting it in the washing machine, we do want to make sure it's fully dried all around before I put it outside. Let's put the shoe treat back in. That way when it dries, the toe box has a nice, beautiful, brand new shape once again. Overall, I'm pretty happy how these turned out with just a 4-ounce street brush. I'm a big fan of putting them in the washing machine because almost every time the shoe comes out perfectly clean. But with this one, just using the 3-brush 4-ounce kit did the job. Now let's go ahead, put the shoe outside since it is like 95 degrees outside right now, and let them dry so we can come back and work on the midsoles.
6.5 hours later.
Alright guys, shoes are fully dried. The 3-brush 4-ounce kit definitely did its job. Inside and out they look good. Check out the soles. Nice and clean. The black suede is still soft. No need to reset the nap on the suede. Moving on with this restoration, we're gonna be moving on to these midsoles. Before I can strip them using acetone and cotton balls, we gotta match this infrared color. So a lot of different shoes have different tones of infrared. The infrared 6s, the Air Max 90 infrareds. They're all very similar, but they're all very different. The colors though that you can use for most of them are all pretty similar. I think I used chili red, orange, some neon pinks, probably some white to lighten up the color if I have to. So I'll start off with the chili red. I won't add too much. You don't want to waste paint. And then I'll add a little orange. The ratio's all over the place, guys. I'm just kind of adding paint as I go. Just mess with it. That's what I do. Check it out, after 10 more minutes of mixing and matching, I got the perfect match. I tested it over here on the white leather just to make sure it's 100% correct. I'm kind of matching it to the shoe. It's a little awkward, but the color's perfect. Now on to the tape. We're gonna be taping off the uppers so we can strip it using acetone and cotton balls. Alright, so what I'm doing right now with these little scissors is pressing down on the tape. Just making sure the tape is nice and flat so no leakage occurs. If any of this paint leaks under onto that camo material, it'll most likely ruin it. I won't be able to get it off, so we want to make sure this tape job is perfect. The good thing about these shoes are that just a few quick wipes and it'll wipe right off. Alright guys, midsoles are fully stripped, super easy. I love how these feel, super smooth. It's a perfect base for a repaint. So now moving on, we're gonna remove the tape, retape, soles included, and air units so we can move on to laying down the white base coat. On to the next color, which is the infrared color. I'm going to be laying it down on this side and this side, of course, using a smaller angular brush. All right, guys, check it out. Mantles are fully done. Tape is off. I went ahead and sprayed it with matte finish. You guys see me do that a million times. I just use Krylon matte finish to give it a few quick coats all around. Check it out though, nice clean lines. The colors are nice and vibrant. No brush strokes, no paint leakage on the uppers. All thanks to a good tape job. All thanks to good mixing. I have the before to show you guys the infrared and the white. So on this shoe, it just looks a lot more brighter, more vibrant. This shoe just faded off, dirty. So now that we got the mantles out the way, we're gonna move on to the last step of this restoration, which is the suede. So I did mention in the beginning of the video, I was gonna show you guys 2 different ways on how to properly fix the suede on this shoe. One of them is re-dyeing the suede, and the second option is spraying it with Reshoevn8r Almighty Mink Oil. So for this shoe, we're gonna be taping it off so we can re-dye it. But for the second shoe over here, in the beginning of the video, off camera, I cleaned this area right here. So this area is nice and clean, it's fully dried. So for this area, we'll spray with the Reshoevn8r Mink Oil and compare it at the end once this shoe's fully dyed and this shoe sprayed. And I'll show you guys the benefits of both and the negatives of both. All right, tape job secured, toweled up, taped up, ready to go. So the first step we're gonna do is use Jacquard Dynaflow dye. This stuff works amazing. It's actually black, it doesn't have a purple tint to it. It's a deep, rich color right away. So what we're gonna do next is simply lay it down through the airbrush. Alright, that shoe's pretty much done. Now let's move on to this shoe, the one that I re-cleaned off camera on this area. So as you can see, it's slightly faded, you know. So the second method you could use is simply spraying them with Reshoevn8r Almighty Mink Oil. You want to give it a nice light coat, you know, brush it in, give it another light coat, brush it in, and you'll definitely see results. Then grab your soft bristle brush, push the mink oil into the suede. That way it doesn't just sit on the surface. Now we'll repeat. All right, guys, so after 4 coats, check it out. Looks pretty much the same. So now let's talk about the pros and cons for the re-dye on this shoe. Really, the only positive for the re-dye is that you get the dark, deep, rich color right away, and it's permanent. You get factory results just right away. That's really all I can say for the positives. There's a few cons for the re-dye. One, the average Joe does not have a compressor or airbrush. The tape job has to be on point. On this shoe, I spent about 40 minutes making sure the tape job was 100% sealed. I didn't want to get any of the dye on the duck camo areas. Those are the negatives and pros for the re-dye. Now let's talk about the pros and cons for the mink oil. For the negatives, I can only think of 2. One, it wears off over time. After you wear it, after you clean it, you're gonna have to reapply it. Even after the shoe just sits for like a few months. You know, that's an easy thing. You know, it doesn't take much work. All you have to do is just spray it a few times, brush it in. Literally takes minutes. Now the positives for using the mink oil is it requires no tape work at all. That's what stands out to me the most. No prep work at all. I just grabbed the bottle and simply sprayed it on. Super easy to use. The best part about it is no prep work. And the last thing is, it works almost every single time and it's multi-purpose. It conditions the suede and it also conditions the leather. So for me personally, I always use the mink oil over the re-dye on my personal shoes. It just works so much better. So now let's wrap up this restoration, put this shoe to the side and bounce back over here. After a re-dye, you have to lock it in using Reshoevn8r water and stain repellent. I should have had it over here. I'm a rookie. All right, so we're gonna go outside. This stuff stinks. We're gonna go outside, apply a few coats, come back, and move on to the last few steps and wrap it up. shoe is fully protected, guys, the very last step we gotta do is make these shoes smell wonderful. Since we didn't put them in the washing machine, they don't have that wonderful smell, but we're about to give that right now, spraying it with some deodorizer. You wanna get in there. You wanna drench it. Just kidding, don't drench it. There we go, guys. That is gonna be it. That's gonna conclude this restoration. Took a little time, took a little effort, but this shoe's worth $2,500 once again. Still used. It may not be $2,500, but it's close enough. So the very first step I did to bringing the shoe back to life was giving them a deep cleaning using Reshoevn8or's 3-brush 4-ounce kit. I used a soft bristle brush to bring these uppers back to life. It works best on delicate suede materials like this shoe. Once that was done, moved on to the all-purpose brush to clean up the midsoles. Works great on rubber, plastic materials like on this shoe as well. And finished it off by using the stiff bristle brush to give the soles a nice deep clean. This is the only brush that's able to bring the soles back to life, like over here. And the next step I moved on to was the suede. I showed you guys 2 different methods, the mink oil and a re-dye. And I also gave you guys the pros and cons for both. So take that into consideration whenever you guys are cleaning or restoring any pairs of sneakers. And lastly, I did the midsoles. The midsoles were super easy. The only part that was a little tricky was the repaint. I also gave you guys some tips on that. So keep that in mind whenever you guys are mixing and matching. Have some patience and think outside the box. So if you guys want to see me go more in depth on this process, let me know in the comment section below, guys. Also, you can find all our products you see right here at Reshoevn8or.com. If you want to save some big bucks, check out the description below. This is Vic Almighty. I'll see you guys next Monday.